On this episode of Jake's Chop Shop, guys, things escalated just like they normally do. Every build, I swear to God. We've got pretty much a full chassis car now. It's tied in, and there's a hell of a lot of rust repairs done. Let's get into it. So I'm going to give you guys some quick knowledge here, some very technical advice. A lot of the times I get some questions here and there. How do you do this? How do you do that? A lot of the time, to be honest, I got no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Now, for instance, right, I've never smoothed one of these bays before. I haven't really worked on too many HKTGs, and this is the first time I've smoothed this front section. So, this piece here is the piece in question. Now, as you can tell, this panel has a curve this way and a curve this way. Now, the right way to do this would be like English wheeling it, maybe, something like that. But I was like, fuck. I looked at that, and then I looked at these old tubs I have here out of a HG to WB series, and I was like, maybe I can just like nice curve and use that. But then I thought, fuck it, you know what? I'll just send it, cut a piece of metal, and guess what? You can pretty much just make it work with a piece of metal. So a lot of the time, I think we find ourselves overthinking jobs. I feel like that's a pretty common thing. We go, fuck, and we start looking up all the correct machinery and this and that to do it. But I'm pretty convinced if you just give it a crack, about 70% of the time, it will work. You just got to take the leap of faith, go for it, give it a crack, and then it's not so much learning about what you have to do or what you have to have, but it's more so learning about what not to worry about, if that makes sense. So tip of this video, it's learning about what not to worry about. Now that sounds stupid, probably to some people, but trust me, it's the biggest thing. Like after building my VL, for instance, I'll give you an idea. If I was to do it again, all the things that I was worried about or were on my mind and I was trying to figure out how to do, none of that mattered. Absolutely none of that mattered. It was just about jumping into the deep end and experimenting and trying things. And believe it or not, all these parts and everything you get, very simple. If you just use a bit of common sense, very simple, and you can figure it out at home, all right? So like I say, use are no different to me. If I can do it, you can do it. All right, let's get into this, smooth this motherfucker, and call it a night. All going on here today. I'm still doing the front end. Didn't quite get it done last night. Made some good progress. Jed's cleaning up the front section to the wireframe of the back over there. We've put him in the naughty corner. And we've got Mr. Mark himself. Oh yeah. And as you can see, Jake's Chop Shop bucket hat, they're still available on the website. We love a bucket hat. And I've put Mark to the task of pulling this front end off, and he's realised how shit these cars are already. This one, real good. Real good rust here. That's.
We might need a Phillips head screwdriver to slip this through.
Done. But we're gonna try our best to get the car on the jig today. So a few bits and pieces happening, and I've still got to make a video. So plenty of things. Live action. Do you want me to wiggle a little bit?
Yeah, wiggle up and down. Just the front end. Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is very loose already.
This is very loose. There was about a quarter of the amount of bolts that should have been.
That's good.
Oh, okay, that one just fell out like. Let me get it out first for his knackers, man.
It just come off.
Just put it in gear and drive off. Oh yeah.
Watch the camera.
We're in the 186, take it off down the street.
Oh, that's how it's done.
actually a lot easier than I thought.
It is.
Well, it rolls nice because it's got new hubs on it.
It's got Mustang hubs.
Does it? Oh,
Yeah, that's-
why it rolls so sweet.
Yeah, prime. Copper prime.
Film the ground, bro.
Copper prime the front sections. What
I
happened?
copy prime the ground as well, bro.
This is what it's like having a young fella work for you. He's managed to pour the copper primer out of the can.
I was holding it upright and it just spat a fucking
You didn't think...
load.
They're only about $60 a can, aren't they?
Yeah, $44. $44.
Look at the runs on your fucking...
I can see you got runs. So today we been at the shop, obviously flat out under the pump. Mark came down and gave me a hand, and perfect timing because I am wrecked today. He's kept pushing along, and sometimes you need that. You need good mates around to just get you over the edge. So we've got the diff and the rear end, the clip set up on the jig, all leveled up. Now I haven't done a lot of filming today. I've been plenty preoccupied. So what you can do, jump over to Mark's channel. I'm sure he's going to release a video on us getting the clip onto the jig and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to look into detail, obviously the Iron Empire, check out his channel. He's going to have way more of an in-depth look at how we got from on the bench to on the jig. Now we're going to quickly chuck the shell on. So we've just chucked the front end on. So that's all bolted up, mocked up. Much better already. This is the first bit of work done to this car, so that's super cool. But there it is, all center. It's set up. We've set the height, so basically our ground level is a 95 mil above the jig. So we'll have the tires off the ground, and that's all ready to go. We've got a bit of crumblies going on here, so we're finding that there's more and more rust coming out of this car. Mark's doing Jackie Chan manoeuvres. What we've found is the jacking points are real solid. That's what we like.
Well, you've definitely got enough clearance front to back. It's just
And Mark's done a scalloping. This is actually, and he's missed.
not enough.
He's missed.
You think with a 10-inch cutout?
Look at the cutout on this side.
Yeah, well.
But no, look, there's a rear end in it.
Let's get down another little bit.
In the ghetto. In the ghetto. What was your quote before? It's held on by really strong rust.
Really strong rust.
Really strong
Well,
rust.
I think there's just one piece across the top there.
Oh, it's fucking heaps far back.
Yeah, I think you might be a recipient or even.
Okay, so massive day today. I just had some food. I had dinner, whatever. We smashed it, me and Mark. Thank you, Mark, for coming out, giving me a hand. Like I said, you got to rely on some of your mates. There's nothing better than having some of your mates come out and push you along. You get even more done than you would by yourself. Sometimes it's killer to work alone, but sometimes it's good to work with your mates. The car is sitting on the jig. Now, it's not locked in or anything. We just put it in there, and then Mark had to go, so we slapped the wheels on it, dropped the body on there as quick as we could so he could have sort of a finishing up of the video. But this is how it looks at the moment. So there is a rear clip in it, massive tyres, the rear, what is this? Beaver panel, whatever, it's completely butchered. I said to Mark, I said, let's just cut out that, notch that, boom, boom, boom. He's gone and notched it, all right. But I love him to death. That doesn't matter. You might think this is concerning, not even, because we're going to make a whole new panel, and I've got a brand new rare spares outer. So that's why we sacrificed that, because time is of the essence, obviously, and we could spend all day trying to make cuts and this and that. No point. It's going to sit a little bit lower still, so I've got to cut the inner tub out for it to sit a little bit lower. And the front, the guards aren't bolted on. That's why you can see there's a gap there. We just sat them there to mock it up. I'm going to put a support off the jig, holding the front level, make sure everything stays where it is, because we're actually going to cut the firewall out and the rest of the floor out as well. We've got these C channels going across with 75 by 50 RHS holding it up, so it's all level, everything. And yeah, we've got another support off the back on the rails. So a few bits and pieces. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a bit of a cleanup, because the place is a mess. It's bloody Monaro rust everywhere, so I'll probably sell that for some good money. But I'll drop the wheels off of it, and what I'll probably end with tonight, because I've got to do some editing tonight, is I will take the wheels off, like I said, clean this fucking mess up, and then probably cut out the inners so I can actually sit the shell where it needs to sit. And then tomorrow we'll continue, start locking it in and connecting some of the dots. But that's what it's starting to look like. So, alrighty, so we're back on the Monaro. It's been a busy day today. I had dramas uploaded in the last video, but we'll have a quick look. So I've done some stuff off camera, and then we're going to do the exact same stuff on the other side on camera. So I'll give you an idea. So big wheels on this car, so they were hitting the dog legs. We'll actually quickly come around the back. So what I've done off camera is I squared the body up to the chassis. So the chassis is obviously welded to the jig, or the rear clip and everything. I cross-referenced, checked all the measurements of the floor pan and everything to basically square the chassis up with the jig. So it's all square to the body, and I've welded just some dodgy ass pieces to the body. All this is getting cut out and replaced anyway, so don't be like, wow, there's a bit missing. No biggie. That's done. The tubs are all cut out, where the tubs are going to go. That's all good. So moving on, what I've done is I've actually moved the axle center line back about roughly, I don't remember the exact measurement, but I think it's about 25 mil back. And what that's going to do is allow for the window to go all the way down, because the window the rear windows wind up and down, and they sort of go back, down, and you have an issue when you put tall tubs in them that the window hits and you can't close it all the way. We might not get full closing of the windows, but we definitely want some sort of function there. What I've got here, we're going to split the wheel arch, section it, and move the rear quarter back. But what we didn't want to do is create a flat spot at the top of the wheel arch. So Pep had some of these bad boys here lying around. I think you get these from Southern Customs and Classics here in Lonsdale. These are like an extended wheel arch, so a bit wider, and obviously it's got the curve. So I've cut out this one, I've clamped this in, I've sat the wheel under it, I've just clamped this rear quarter section in just to get a bit of a gauge, and clamped this rust repair panel in as well, because this has all got to be changed and have a rust spot under here. Well, this is how much I moved the axle back. You can sort of see that gap where it's supposed to be here. I'll show you the difference on the other side. So we're just trying to work out the right height. I'm having a look, having a think. How I figured out where the center of it is. I've measured the wheel arch with a plumb bob, put a center line on it, whatever. If you have a look, you can see the difference at the bottom where it opens up. So you get a bit more width for a big tyre. So on this side, we'll film it all and we'll record cutting that out and putting all this in place. And yeah, get into it. Let's go. Okay, so we'll jump onto the rear panel real quick. Like I said, we're going to do the other side of the car. So lower quarter panel, stretch wheel arch, the whole front half done, tacked in. The bottom still needs finishing off, but that's good enough for now. I've jumped ahead and pretty much ripped off the remaining pieces of this rear Beaver panel, so there's not much left. And as you can see, the bottom's all rotted away and some dodgy patch panels. When you're cutting this out, you don't really want to trim into the inner piece, but because I'm doing a whole new section on the inside there to tie in the rails and everything, I'm not really too concerned about it. What you do want to look after is these things here, where the bumper bolts to, which is going to work out quite nicely because you see where the rail is, that's below it. So you'll bolt it from underneath the car. You won't see the bolts and the nuts. This is the panel. Super nice panel from Rares, this one. What I'm going to do is I've got some bolts here. We're going to locate through those holes the Beaver panel in place, and then we're going to trim the top because I figured it would take longer to unpick this whole piece. If you're doing the job crazy properly or a customer car, yeah, probably unpick the whole thing and do it nicely, but this is mine. I'm happy to do it like that. So I'll sit this panel over the top, cut out there, tack it in. Won't worry about the bottom for now because that's going to hold its shape because it's all strong. And then later, we're going to do the inner panel. All right, let's get into it. So we're doing this side now. What we're going to do is do the wheel arch, lower quarter section, and this section here, this section here, and our wheel arch. So, a bit of a scary job when you're doing them all together, I'll be honest with you, it's a bit daunting, but you just got to get into it, take the leap and send it. Now, I've got these wheel arches. Now, there's probably a proper way to do this, like all technically and shit, but probably could be fucked, so I'm just going to do it my way. It could be right, it could be wrong. Now, we're just going to sit this on here, and I like to rest this flange up on this one here. And then there's our center point. Our center point of our flange is here. And I just like to measure from here to here with a straight edge, put a big 2-foot engineering square off here, get your mark, and then you pretty much sticky tape a plumb bob, and you can pick up measurements and stuff like that. So we'll just sit this here because it's pretty circular. Now, remembering that we've moved our diff back a little bit, okay? So if we sit it at the top flange, we hold it flush, I look in here and I look at my gap of how much is showing from here to here and here to here. And obviously we just want to offset our gap, so we've got a little bit of a bigger gap on this side to pick up for us moving the diff back. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark it roughly where we need to trim it, so we can sit this in there nice and flush. Cut this out. We'll sit our wheel in there. Now you probably don't want to do, if you've got a really nice set of wheels and you care, you don't want to do this work with the wheel and the rim on the car, but I'll be honest with you, I fucked up the jig. Well, I put the body a little bit further down than we were planning to, and I can't actually get the wheel in and out. So the next time that other wheel comes off on the other side, the car will be off the jig, which is fine, no biggie. So to get the wheel in, I actually have to cut the guard, but then obviously when it's not on the jig, you can drop it down from underneath, it'll be fine. But we're gonna sit this here. Make sure we have a relatively even overhang either side. Sit it about here. Have a look at what our gap's telling us. And I want to get my pencil, run the pencil, where we're going to make our cut. And where the bottom is. So we want our bottom to land about there. Alright, now as you can see here, you've got your opening here. So we've got to trim this in order for this flange to sit in there. So we'll do that real quick. Alright, so we're on. We've got the Monster Energy drinks. Monster, sponsor me. I'm ready. So now we can sit our guard. After we're released the bottom. And I'm just going to eyeball that for now. And fuck me, it looks alright, eh? There you go. Sort of where we want it. Next thing we're going to do is just cut or put a mark where our flange is going to meet there. Kill a manila. When you cut something like this, you don't want to cut on this side of the line. Cut on the line or on this side, so you got a little bit of green to play with. Oh, that's what we like. Now this is a little bit scary at this point, but it is what it is. You got to be willing to give it a crack. Buddy, this side's not bad. The other side just had full bog everywhere. Full bog show. Now I reckon I'm actually going to tap this ledge over here. I'm just going to tap it over real quick and I'll be back. Just give it a bit more angle. Alrighty, so we cut our wheel arch out, put the wheel on. Now the wheel's going to pretty much dictate where our centre is. Unless you're really good at marking and visualising things. I need to see things on the car for me to do it. Alright, we're going to sit our wheel arch in position. A little bit overlap. We're going to find a place where it's happy, and we marked it sort of while it was off. We sort of know where our centre's going to land, and at the end of the day we'll just tack it in, have a look. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. We'll cut it out. No biggie. Bit just to get it in the position you want to get it in. After you do this a little bit, you know what to look for. We're just going to tack it. Meanwhile, my leg's burning. Alright, we're going to tack it in like that, and then we're just going to have a look. And to me, I'm looking at the gap of the tyre, where the wheel arch meets on the rim, and whatever. It looks pretty good to me. Now the next thing we're going to do is, I'm not worried about the overlap here for the time being, because what we're going to do is we're going to tack it in place, and then we're going to run the grinder against this lip to create ourselves a gap. Pretty happy with that. Just to hold it, we'll put a tack down here as well. So as you can see by that, we've created ourselves a nice gap. Now it still probably needs trimming as it gets closer, but at least we've got something to work with real nice now. So we'll just start working it and tacking it together. so what we're going to do is we'll have just a quick look here. So if we put this piece in, again, you can see here how it doesn't match up because we've shortened the wheel arch. Where is it going to sit? It's going to sit about there. So there's your gap there, how far we've brought the wheel. You don't usually get this, and it's a lot easier if you don't have this. But what we're going to do is, off the bat, because I like to use this line here, and sit the panel in it to get a bit of reference. We've got a little bit of overhang. So we're just going to trim the overhang off. Now, you wouldn't normally do this. You'd normally fit it up not bad. But my nuts were getting burnt there. Alright, that's there. What we'll do is we'll just get a straight edge, run it along here roughly. We've got to trim this wheel arch off. Back the fuck off. Alrighty, so we're going to make this sit in the groove real nice. We know where our bottom has to be. Now, what we're also going to look at is just how far from the body line that runs along here to this body line in the panel is. So what do we got? So where it's sitting and where it wants to sit, we've got about 230 and about 210. Just make sure it's sitting about right with the original. What's that, about 210? Yeah, exactly, spot on. Right, so we'll sit this here, where it wants to be. Make sure it's in there nice and tight. Now this corner here's fucking us up a little bit. Sometimes you've got to trim around the edges just so they sit in there nice. Yeah. Fucking red hot. Let's get this, put a line there, where that's gonna go. Put a line here just a reference. Alrighty. So the reason I put a line on the outside is so I could roughly figure out how much I've got to cut off of this panel to get it pretty close. Bob's your uncle. I'm going to get it a little bit closer. We'll do a bit more trimming after, but we want to get it as close as we can. Alright, that looks good. Now next step is, I'm going to get my secret weapon. So when I'm doing this sort of shit, I like to use tech screws. So what we do is we don't even weld panels on, we just tech screw them on and call it a day. Because that's how you do it. Get that in place. Got my hands full here. Well, we're going to do is just fucking tech screw that bad boy on. Get it sitting, I'm feeling the bottom. While I'm doing this, I'm feeling the bottom and make sure it feels nice. Tech screw that there. Put another one in here. Right, boom. So what that's doing is it's holding it fucking super tight against where we're going to be doing our work. Because if you hold it there and do a line, sometimes the line gets a bit fucked up. Alright, boom. So there we go, we got our panel on. And just have a look at it, make sure you're happy with it. Which we are. Then all you do is while it's on there, kill that's tight. I'm cutting along the edge. I'm sitting the blade sort of on the panel. What I do is I don't face up. You don't want to face up because then you might cut up and create a bigger gap. So you want to face almost down to create a smaller gap. Boom. Then we're going to go around the tail light thing because the tail light's killer, that area there, and I like to use that as reference. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and it also has a double plate there, and I don't want to deal with the unpicking of the double plate, so. Oh, dang. We'll just cut this out now real nice. So we're out there. Hey yo, the Suicide Squad. Alright, so that's all good. So we'll just get this panel on. I like to work from my corners, so I'll try and locate a corner in first. So we've got that corner, that's like a pivot point. And slap. When you see me welding, you might see me sit like this. I might look like a bit of a fucking spastic, but whatever. I usually put my hand here, and then I've got the welding, the fucking gun, it's sitting here, it's supported, right? I've got my elbows on my legs up against the jig, and I can push, and I can apply pressure without like pressing like this. Like it's all locked, I'm locked in. So everything's all very controlled, you know what I mean? That's why I can like judge how hard I'm pushing very easily, because it's all, I'm locked in. Same as when you're painting, you're locked in. You're moving your body, you're not moving the fucking, your arm. think that's close enough. Might put a few more tacks here. Alrighty, so next we've got the renowned top of the rear quarter section. Monaros always fuck out here, it's pretty common. And we've got our trusty rare spares piece that has a Bluetooth bodyline. That's all good. So this is a little bit of a daunting repair when the car's just fucking cut up, but we're gonna do it anyway, right? So a few things I'm gonna do. First off the bat, obviously the wheel arch has changed, so we're gonna make a cut. We'll cut out where the wheel arch needs to go. I don't think you can see it. We're probably gonna do something like that. We'll cut it out there. We're also going to cut this lip off. So where the lip is, I don't particularly like this lip. So that can fuck off too. Alright, so we're going to cut along there real nice, because the factory one's a lot sharper. So let's quickly make those incisions and we'll rip this quarter panel off. Hopefully my guesstimation's alright. Alright, now onto the quarter panel. Now, like I said, I'm just going to cut a little bit back from this lip. This top flange is spot welded together. That's a little bit Bluetooth, but that's fine. Not much left at all actually. I've marked out roughly where the cut is, so that's all good. So I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. That's how you do it, right? Boom. You can fuddy-duddy a lot around all you like, but that's just cool getting the job done. Alright? As you can see, got some nice rust, that's cool. Now this is the lip that's spot welded, so we'll grind that off, finish that off. Obviously keep this to hold the jam. I'm going to clean all in here. Alright, now off camera, I'm going to quickly grind this flange off, clean up all this, and we'll touch base when we're about to put the quarter back on.
You know who it is, it's Mr. Rockstar himself. It's the one and only Paul Lino Hansen. Mr. Money. So we're here at Outlaws just getting some fittings, and Paul's telling me, don't come to Outlaws at the end of the month because apparently it's stock take.
You're a fuck.
Nah, it's always a good time to come and see the boys. Look at all this stuff they have. Plenty. We're just getting the carby fittings today, so start putting together the fuel pressure reg and the fitting is going to the carby because it's going to look cool just sitting there. Mel, say hi.
Alrighty, so cleaned up this whole intersection, gave it a wire wheel grind up, put a new lip on the top here, a few things off camera that's pretty boring but pretty self-explanatory, deoxidine, whatever, weld through prime. That's not really how you're supposed to use weld through primer, but I like the shit, it's easy, it's there. We're going to chuck this panel on now, so we'll find some vice grips, we'll get going. Bad boy here. Alright, so that starts to look sort of where it needs to be. You got to have a look at your gaps and whatnot. I'm also referencing where the door's positioned at the moment. There's no latch in it, but I want to try and make sure that gap's pretty even before we weld it on. But that's looking pretty good. And there's a bit of a big gap at the bottom of the door, and this body line at the bottom of this panel is sitting just below the body line, so I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that. We'll probably come up just a smidge. That's even better. It's probably where it's going to sit. Chuck one more set of vice grips on it. It's pretty well in place there. So we're just going to try and lock it in. Lock it in now around the place. And obviously we're overlapping here, so we're going to cut in our line again. But we're pretty close. Pretty close. The biggest thing I noticed about these rare spares panels, they're pretty good. Like obviously you've got a whole panel to deal with, but you do have a very faint body line. As you can see at the door, you can see the body line. That's just the blast of the panel. This one here, the body line's sort of a bit willy-nilly. Apart from that, they're pretty good. So we're going to start cutting and joining, and we'll be in business pretty shortly. Now the reason I shut the door is because if this gap is not even, right, granted that you have your door gapped up right, you can get a screwdriver and just push it over a little bit and fix anything up while you're here. It's a good time to, what is it, kill two birds with one stone. Alrighty, now we'll do the wheel arch. So again, we're just going to cut it in. Now, a lot of this is repetitive process. So as you've seen, like, it's not groundbreaking stuff. It's just executing the same thing, figuring out what your process is. Everybody's a little bit different. This is mine. And this is a very willy-nilly one of my processes as well. Like, you can do this and take a lot more care. There's obviously a lot of levels to it. And for this application, we're just trying to push through. But there you go. She's welded in place. Now what I did is I just hit this curve down a little bit around here where it flattens out. That's where you see me hitting, just there. But we're all tacked up. We'll put a few more tacks here and I'll show you how to do my spot welds again. Fuck man, it's getting a bit warm. You don't want to do too many tacks in a row because you might warp the panel. So you got to just cool it down. So some of you might be able to tell, but I keep constantly feeling the panel, right? You see me constantly like rubbing my hand over the panel and touching, and that's to look for alignment. Obviously, you're trying to feel if there's a difference. Now, if my hands weren't as fucked up as they are at the moment, they're all cut up real bad. I'd be using just no gloves, but I've got gloves on today. But I'm also feeling for if it starts to, the heat starts to expand or shrink the panel. So as soon as that happens, you see me, I grab the air gun, blow it off, cool it down. Now, if you need longer than that to execute a tack, like I'm going bzz, stopping, bzz, stopping, you've seen it yourself, you're sort of starting to put too much heat in. You don't want your tack to go much longer than that, you know what I mean? You want to set the welder up so you can get it done, or gap it so you're in control of the gap, you don't have too much of a gap. Now lastly, I'll show you what I do with the spot welds at the top. So, just reclamp this one. We'll grab the drill. Now I'm going to drill into the panel where the spot welds are going to go, but I'm not going to go all the way through. You can sort of tell, you know, where you get to that point. So. Sorry, everybody in every video says it's not a spot weld, it's a plug weld. You're right, it is a plug weld, but I'll just say spot weld. Because that's what you refer to all the time in panel work. Alright, so that's all drilled. I'll have a quick look at that. So the holes are drilled, but they're not all the way through. But you can see where I've broken through to the second panel. This is the gaps that I'm talking about before, so nothing too big. Put my finger next to it. We're talking like 2 mil there. It's pretty uniform all the way around. You want a gap like that though. You don't want no gap. If you have no gap, when the panels heat up, when you're welding them, and they go to heat up and expand before they contract, it'll heat up too much and it'll bow your panel. So you want to have a little bit of a gap. So the grinding, a 1 mil cutting blade works perfectly. You've got to bump the settings up. Bump the settings up a bit. And blow them in. So move your clamps as you go, and if you have a gap between your panels, trust me, it's a dog. And then even if you go to panel beat it after, like try and bang them together, you're going to bang around the weld, and then you're going to still have a hump in the middle, and it's just going to, and you grind it too much, you grind through, it's just a nightmare. So make sure your panels are butted up perfectly. Bit of a blowout there, but she's all good. All right. And that's all she wrote. So there's those panels tacked in. We won't go any further for now. We can make all our inners up now. We've got everything in place. We've got our wheel arches in place, wheels fitting. Next thing is to start making the inners to tie in those rear rails, and same as the inner behind this front of the rear quarter panel to tie in that rear clip. So that's on to the next stage. The next thing, we're going to do the Beaver panel and the inner panels to sort of tie in the chassis rails to the rear of the car. So the rear with the bar mounts and all that sort of stuff, that was all fucked in there. So what I've done off camera is cut the remainder of all the bits and pieces out. So obviously there's a lot of inner support and structure that goes through behind there, and since I put that new Beaver panel on, I was able to cut it all out. Now as you can see, our rails are just floating in position. Now they're held up by the jig, and then the Beaver panel, I've just tacked on some braces on the jig to hold everything in place. So what we're left with is an empty skeleton almost. So I've pretty much bare metaled all this section here where I'm going to weld to, cleaned it all up, and did some copper primer over everything. And then I've started off camera as well, making the centerpiece. So how I like to start out is I just get a bit of paper. If it's long enough, I sit it in there, I use my finger to run along the lip. Like let's say this is the edge I want to make, just get my finger, and I'll just start marking out things and whatnot, and then I get a bit of a design, and I start taking measurements. Then I'll transfer that over to a steel, and then I get my sheet metal here, and again, just with rulers and stuff, mark it all out, throw it through the bead roller, put all my edges on it, and we're left with a piece. And obviously copper prime the inside. Now the side pieces we'll do on camera together. I just wanted to get a head start, get some motivation under the belt. So I'll show you how this one fits anyway. So this one here, we're not doing anything crazy bead wise on these panels. So just sits in there. That's our first panel there. And obviously it's spot welds to the rail there. And I'll probably, on the piece that's going to sit here, put like a little bit of a lap. What do you call it? I forgot what the term is, but it's like with the bead machine, you put a lap on it and the piece sort of goes underneath and you spot weld it through here to the piece behind. Now the reason I haven't got any beads or designs on this piece is because we're going to have the exhaust go through the Beaver panel out the back. So I'm not sure where the exhaust is going to land because that still has to come down, and I want to get all this tied in and the car off the jig so I can look at it and pretty much, I need to almost see the car on the floor and sort of decide where the pipes are going to come out, how far apart they're going to be. I can't make that decision just quite yet. So I'm going to have it all blank because we've got to remember there's going to be 2 4-inch pipes coming out the back. We'll do an infill panel there. Now our floor is going to be spot welded to the rails, and this works out quite well. So where the boot latch goes, the floor actually has to dip in. You know what I mean? So I'll give you an idea. Put our steel ruler here. Where I've done the cutout, it's actually lower than the rails for this. And that works out perfectly. So we'll put a bit of a notch in the floor pan real neatly with this one, because our fuel cell has a baffle underneath. So where the baffle is, we'll make it so the floor sort of compensates for that, and it'll be kind of a cool piece. So that's all I do. Obviously fits real nice. Make sure you check your measurements. Sharp pencil to mark out the lines. Cut on the line, allow for your grinding disc tolerance. Spot weld it to this flange here, and Bob's your uncle. Now I'll just put it over the top of this piece because I treated it, ground it back to bare metal, and copper primed it. That's going to give us that strength. So much talking. I know, sorry. There's so much talking to just explain everything, because I don't want to sort of have you guys watching and not be following. You know what I mean? I fucking hate that when I'm watching a video and I can't follow along because someone hasn't explained something. That drives me fucking mental. But yeah, we'll get going on this one, all right? Alrighty, after about an hour extra off camera that you didn't see of me mucking around, we have the panel. So, as you've seen, traced it, made it out of paper, got an idea and started refining it. So, a step is what I was looking for before. So you can do this with just a hammer and dolly if you want, but I've got the machine. So, step to here, obviously flanges that can spot weld onto the rail, put a little slit, because there's the bottom that we have to slide this into. Put a bead in it, put a bit of a stretch in here. That's pretty much how we want it. And we'll put it in now and I'll show you what we're looking like. Now there was a lot of back and forth trimming to make it work. But if I get my camera here, I'll show you what the step does. So the step, it's gonna go underneath and then you can sit it in and then spot weld. Sorry about this. Spot weld, boom, 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 boom. The two panels together, and at the top here as well. Or if you get it right, there's a little crevice that it creates that you can basically put a weld in and whatnot. So it's got the flanges here that fits up nicely. Got to drill some holes and spot weld it to where the support is, where the bumper bolts. Now there's factory on the inside of these, they have one of these sort of like crush tubes that sit in between. Now this is a bit wider, mine comes out on an angle because it's going to sort of come out in the middle and go in. What I've decided I'm going to do, could be right, could be wrong, could regret it later, but I'm going to leave the crush tube out, weld the panel on, and then later on, when it's off the jig, I'm going to actually drill out the holes all the way through square, and then this bit of tube here, I'm going to weld it, put it through, have it flush either end, and then TIG it either end. So do like a TIG weld. Imagine there's a hole here and a hole on the other side. So the tube will come out, grind it flush, TIG it this side, TIG it that side. So it's got pretty much a crush tube, but it's going to be an easy way to do it, I reckon. Because otherwise I'll be mucking around with this for ages, trying to get the right spacing because my panel comes out. But if we get up here and have a look how we're going, you know what I mean? We're starting to come together here. Bit of refining, bit of finishing off, got to tie in the lens corner, but super happy. Now that I've done one, I figured out most of the adjustments. It's pretty much a little bit easier to do the other side, but you got to fuck around for a bit with this. There's no easy way to do it, and half the time you end up throwing the panel out. Luckily enough, I didn't have to throw this one out, but I still had to manipulate it, move a flange over, and you just do that with a hammer and dolly, and time. That's it. So we'll get that prepped up. I might trace that one on some paper, so I have a replica to go to the other side. And then, yeah, we'll keep pushing on.